welcome everybody. Today we're going to be diving into the Siklu solution, and I think you guys will be impressed. Many of you may be familiar with 60 gig of old and 80 gig of old, and we're going to explore what Siklu has been doing with the product and with the technology and where they're going in the future here. So buckle up, enjoy. Please type any questions you have in the chat, and we'll get to them either for sure by the end, and maybe even in between if it's relevant. We can stop and do that. We'll do that, but we do have some material we want to get through. So sit back and enjoy. And Kyle, welcome.
Great, thanks, Matt. I'm super excited to be here. It's great to be working with mmWave again. Just to give a little background on myself, I'm the regional sales director here for the Pacific Southwest for Siklu. My name is Kyle Simeon. I'm based out of Roseville, California, and love working here locally in California and with the mmWave team. So today I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are as a company, a little bit about mmWave, and buckle up with some of our solutions and what we're bringing to the market here today. Okay. So just to give you a little history of my personal history, I spent many of my career deploying 5 gigahertz networks all throughout the US and some very large network with some very large partners. But what I found out is that the saturation of 5 gig and the unlicensed bands, the lower end bands, is really tough to live in. So I called up Siklu and joined the team because there's really only one way to get out of the RF noise, and that is to use mmWave technology such as Siklu brings to the market. Siklu today is the leading provider of all E-band solutions here globally. And one of the things that we take great pride in is that here in the US, we're deploying over 70% of E-band solutions. But one of the greatest things about Siklu is when the company was founded in 2008, we spent the first 3 years deploying our intellectual property. And that intellectual property is based around an all silicon solution for the V-band and E-band. This really revolutionized the industry. It decreased price tenfold and increased performance tenfold. And so these are the products that are used today by many of our customers. All of that development, we've wrapped around it 40 patents around it. And so we're very well deployed globally and here in the US. And our solutions are specifically focused on mmWave technology, which is the E-band, 60 gigahertz, and the V-band. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So one of the best items about Siklu is that it takes us out of the megabit market and puts us into the gigabit market. And nobody has ever asked for less capacity, and everybody wants more and more capacity moving forward. So all of the solutions that Siklu deliver are gigabit and multi-gigabit capable, and this helps to deploy a network that is future-proof and something that you can grow with and continue to grow over the years. Now, if we take a look at a lot of the solutions that are on the market today, everybody wants fiber. Fiber is the best. I agree with that. I love fiber. But you can't bring fiber everywhere. And a lot of the technologies that are out there, such as 5G radios from the carriers or 5 gig radios that are out there by other technologies, are just hard and tenable to work with, and they're just not as easy as deploying mmWave solutions. When we look at our solutions that we bring to the market, it's a very secure means of transport between endpoints. Just the physical nature of mmWave really creates a solid air link. It's very affordable, and our pricing is fantastic. And so I definitely recommend getting a quote from mmWave on our pricing, and I think you would really enjoy the pricing that we bring to the market today. But one of the advantages of millimeter wave is also our very low latency. So this will range 100 microseconds or less. And yes, that's 100 microseconds between devices. And this really changes how networks operate quicker, faster, and really delivers better performance all to the end user, which is what we're looking to do. So, but the best thing about our technology is that in 60 gig, it is license free and you could deploy it today, tomorrow. You could put this up very quickly and your time to market is virtually nothing for our 60 gig technology. In our 78, 80 gig technology, it's very close to the same. It is a very light licensed product, but it's something that you can deploy very quickly and deploy today. So just to tell you a little bit about millimeter wave wireless and really where the advantages lies when it comes to growing and deploying your network. If you take a look at the spectrum that is available out there today, you take a look at the sub-6 bands, they're just slivers of spectrums, 100 megahertz of spectrum, 150 megahertz of spectrum, and everybody is trying to grab the smallest slice of spectrum, which creates high congestion. And typically what we see is in these bands, the noise is almost doubling every year. And so you need a way to get out of that. And one way is to use a pencil beam or very narrow tight beam technology such as Siklu. The advantage of this is that when we communicate over very tight beams, it allows us to co-locate and deploy many radios in a small location without creating a large shotgun blast of RF. And so we can co-locate and we can deploy with the best of them, which is great. The other advantage is the amount of spectrum that is available. There's 24 gigahertz of spectrum available in the 60 gig and the 70-80 gig. And so you will always be able to find a clean channel because of these two technologies, the narrow beams and the advantage of big channel spectrums that are available out there. So it makes it a very quick, easy technology to deploy. And here are some of the basics on the V-band and E-band. So we have 60 gig as it's known in the V-band. It is license free. Some of the things that will affect it is oxygen and rain. So one of the advantages that Siklu has is we have a great link budget calculator, which is really the Bible of performance for Siklu. So it allows us to really understand 25 years of rain data has been put into this tool so we can understand each individual link and we can understand exactly what the performance is going to be. So a couple of the basics is that we live within the engineering guidelines that are set by the LBC for each link, guaranteeing performance, and we must have line of sight. I mean, all of this is line of sight technology, and so we definitely need to be able to see the other side. So on the E-band, with the longer lengths, you know, we've had lengths that have grown over the years. Some guys have deployed 15, 16 mile lengths. The typical length is about a mile, mile and a half or less. And then about 3 miles is about the point where everything is absolutely fantastic. Can we go farther than that? Absolutely. How do we do that? We use our dual link technology, which we can use a backup radio like an 18 gig or a 5 gig radio to help us get better performance and maintain availability on the longer shots. So we have some great advantages here to help deploy in any scenario that you're looking to deploy. So I want to talk a little bit about, you know, where we really fit in the market today. And we have 3 primary use cases where we fit. First is gigabit access to the home, the multi-dwelling unit, the business, business-to-business connectivity. And these are definitely places where we see the high growth market for us and where the majority of our business is located today. So on the example on the right here, we would show a good example of how our network is created with Siklu. We have point-to-point radios connecting between the buildings that would either take a fiber circuit into the market or have an 8010 or one of our radios injecting the capacity into the market, which this allows us to deploy our 60 gig license-free technology and start meshing out through the community to deliver gigabit access to the home, the business, the multi-dwelling unit. The second really popular use case for our equipment is Wi-Fi backhaul and small cell and Wi-Fi backhaul. Wi-Fi has become a great market for us. We see that there's a lot of need still in parks, in parking lots, in open areas, places trying to get connectivity for just the average consumer. And cities are more and more prevalent to deliver this type of service, especially to help on a couple things. One, Wi-Fi backhaul for K through 12 to help with the digital divide. That is a very popular use case for our scenario, and I think it's something that you could rely on for our systems to deliver. The third use case that we are doing quite a bit is the smart city. Security and smart city, Siklu goes hand in hand with our real-time performance for cameras, connecting building to building. We are deploying major security networks for police and municipalities all throughout the country. And we work with very large institutions such as the FBI, for example, that leverage our technology to deliver real-time video performance, and then also to leverage the additional IoT devices that are put out there into the market today, all the different sensors that are located on the poles and devices. These are something that we are backhauling in these cities today, providing for a much safer and smarter city for any deployment that you'd be looking at. So I want to cover some of our product lines that we bring to the market. And there's really 4 product lines that we have today. I'm going to focus on 2 of them, but I will tell you about all of them. The first is our point-to-point product line. And we have a 1 gig, a 2 gig, and a 10 gig full duplex solution, which we bring to the market. And this is using traditional 1 foot and 2 foot dishes mounted with an ODU on the back. So it allows us different ranges, but we can get up to 10 gig full duplex over our 8010 link, which I'll show you in a second. We have our 100 series radio, which this is used in the security market quite a bit, from going to streetlight to streetlight, and connectivity that's less than a half a mile with 1 gig half duplex performance. This is a great radio for. And then we have the younger brother to our Teragraph family, and this is our original first and second generation point to multipoint in the 60 gig. And so we've learned a lot in developing this that we were able to take directly into our 5th and 6th generation 60 gig point to multipoint into our Teragraph family. And so I'll focus mostly on our 8010 platform and on our Teragraph family here on this presentation. So our 8010 radio is vastly deployed. If we look at some of the cities in the world, locally in San Francisco, there are well over 15,000 of these radios deployed, connecting building to building, providing services to the majority of the multi-dwelling units within San Francisco. And it's a very well-utilized radio. And this allows you the option to use it as a 2 gig, a 5 gig, or a 10 gig radio. So it's license key upgradable, and it also supports 128 and 256 models on this particular radio for higher encryption. One of the advantages of our radio is our hitless and errorless adaptive coding and modulation. What this does is will step up and down our modulation, which is hitless, and it'll help us to really maintain the highest capacity over the air link. And typically, what we notice is that in the radios work exceptional, and they are very stable, providing a very consistent level of performance in the field once they are properly aligned and dialed in. So definitely that is one of the advantages of our radio, is the ability for it to last. It is very well built, 90-year MTBF on these radios. So it's something that you could deploy with confidence, and we're using it to backhaul many of the networks out there today. The second product line that I want to cover is our 60 gig multi-haul TG product line. This has really been a hot commodity in the market today. We're seeing that networks are growing faster and faster, and that the need for gig to the home and gig to anything is required in the world we live in today. So we have two different devices as far as distribution nodes that we bring to the market. And so we have a 360-degree distribution node, and we also have a 90-degree distribution node. And these will connect to many of our client devices, our client nodes here on the right. One of the advantages of our Teragraph family is we built it on IPv4 technology. So this is a layer 2 technology, which works directly out of the box, and you don't need additional controller to run and maintain a system. So for small networks, you don't need it. But when we get into larger networks, we have an advantage of having a meshing architecture that will help us to create redundancy within the network. And so we have the flexibility within this technology to deploy any type of scenario that you're looking to connect at the right price. So the terminal units that we have here, we have 3 different choices, and I will go into the options on these in a couple different slides. So covering our distribution node, which is called the N366. This was our first release in the excuse me, in the Teragraph family, and it is a great little device. It distributes 15 gigabits of capacity, and it's built out of 4 different 90-degree sectors. So it has 360-degree visibility, and each sector itself can connect up to 15 client devices to it. But the advantage of it is that 2 of these connections can also be used to connect to a like device. So you can connect N366 to N366 to N366, creating a very nice daisy chain array or a meshing architecture, and then connect all of your client devices off of this. This device is built on the latest chipset from Qualcomm, so it's a 802.11ay chipset. So there's a lot in store for this, and a good roadmap behind the chipset, which is great. And one of the advantages that we have here within the radio is that we have an integrated layer 2 switch that we built into the radio itself. So any of your VLANs suite that you may need are incorporated, but it also allows us to have some advantages when it comes to making decisions on the node. So all of the decisions are made directly here on the node on what to do. So it's great to have the smarts built into the unit. So the latency is excellent on this guy, 200 microseconds on the connection points, which is fantastic. And one of the points of note I want to make is that we are working on the next generation of distribution nodes, which is going to be called the N367. Currently, right now, this is built out of beamforming technology. So we use that technology to align between links, and we can do up to about 250 meters today. We're introducing the N367 here in September, and closer to Q4 to deliver almost 50% more capacity, which will increase us up to 350 meters. So we're very exciting to have the next generation distribution node coming forward here at the end of the year, and it'll really help us to reach and create longer reach to all of the neighborhoods that need to go a little bit farther, especially in the urban environment or the rural environment as well. So one of the things, once we delivered the first 360-degree sector to the market, we noticed that we needed to get a little more down tilt. In some of the high-rise neighborhoods where you're coming off a large building, we really needed to point it down a little bit more to hit the coverage area. And so that's when we designed and released the N265. Excuse me. The N265 is a single 90-degree sector, a really nice unit. So you can do 15 connections to this. You could also connect up to our M366 and M367 distribution nodes with this guy. But the advantage is we can attach it to a mounting bracket, which can give us up to 60 degrees of down tilt on this. So it's really nice when you have to shoot down, or you just have a single 90-degree sector where you have to serve 15 clients. Another advantage of this unit is it has great PoE out on port 2. So a lot of times when you're deploying this, you may want to put a Wi-Fi access point or a camera or power something out of this unit. And so on Ethernet port 2, we have the advantage to get up to 63 watts of PoE out. And then on port 3, we have an SFP that's available if you have fiber connections going into the unit. The first client device that we bring to the market is our low-cost client device. And we're super excited to have this out. This is a single gig unit with a single port on it. And the advantage of this unit is that it's a beamforming unit that will do up to 350 meters with this guy. And it gives us the advantage of a simple, easy deployment for the installer. So the unit comes out of the box. It looks like this. The mounting bracket is simple and easy to use. You can mount it to a wall, screw it directly into a wall, or clamp it to any pole that you would like. The advantage of this guy is that you get full gig capacity and a very low visual impact, which clients really like. Clients really like to see this on their house. It's something that hides very well, and it's a great device that we brought to the market. The second client device that we have in the portfolio is our T265. And this unit, it's a 2.5 gig capable unit. We have 4 ports on this guy. So we have a 2.5 gig copper port, a 1 gig copper port, and then we also have an SFP plus on this guy. So this has the same feel where we could do PoE out on Ethernet 2. Ethernet 2, you could do 63 watts. So if you're powering any of those third-party devices, which is great. And this is also a beamforming unit, which will connect automatically to the distribution nodes. So having the advantage of beamforming will give you the ability to have a less skilled technician who really just needs to be able to climb a ladder, point the radio, and let the radio do the alignment process. So it's a very easy radio to install and deploy. Our third client device that we brought to the market is called the T280. And this is a very well-used unit within the market. This is can be used as part of the point-to-multipoint as a point-to-multipoint client, or it can be used as a point-to-point radio connecting two of these together. Now this radio does the full AirLink, which is 2.5 gig, full duplex over the air, which is great. And it has a lot of the same advantages of the other radios, that you could do PoE out on port 2. So all of the porting is common to the other radios. But one of the added flexibility of this guy is that it's a modular system. And so it comes with a 1/2-foot antenna, or we could put on a larger dish size. And so we have a 1-foot antenna, which you could also mount, which is going to increase your distance even farther. And in the future, we're going to have a 2-foot dish that we'll be able to use for this. So we see this unit a ton in the field as point-to-point, but we also see it in the field to help us extend our distance between M366. So, excuse me. So what we noticed was, in some of the cases with the M366 deployment, we really needed to get a little bit farther. So we needed that T280 to push out to the farther distances, but we also needed it to extend the distance between node to node. So there's a couple ways for us to do that. So we can use it as a client to the M366, our distribution node, or we could use it as a point-to-point radio and extend even farther to another distribution node. And we see this a lot, that this is how networks are being set up, that T280 is commonly being used for building to building, but it's also being used to really expand the network. And when you can get additional 1/2 mile out of one of these units, it's fantastic and you can cover almost any topology. This is a really exciting unit that we have just released into the market, and this is our MPL 260 link in a box. And we see the need so many times that I need to connect across the street. I need to make one simple connection. I need a full gig connection, but I just have 2 endpoints that I want to connect. So this is really our low-cost leader as far as a point-to-point solution for us, and allows us to have something that is very simple and quick to deploy. Basically, point them out, take them out of the box, point them at each other, and you have a link. And it's beamforming technology, so it will auto-align for you, and so it makes it a really nice radio when you're looking to just connect building to building or short connection points. I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the deployments that we have. And one of the larger Teragraph deployments that we have here is with Horizon Communications in Bermuda. And they have really adopted the technology over the island with great results. So here are some of the pictures of some of their deployments of the T265 here on the left, some of the M366s that they've deployed. This is a T280 here on the right. And really, this is a nice picture here with one of our 8010s hanging off here, which is great. And so over the island, they've deployed virtually the majority of the island. And, really, why did they lean to us? Because the island is really polluted with 5 gig interference. And so it really allowed them to deploy with confidence with no interference, which was great. They were able to future-proof the network by delivering gig capabilities. And one of the things that they really, really turned to us for was because our support is second to none. And everybody will say that as far as the vendor, but our team is tireless and they work endlessly and really take a no radio left behind policy when delivering support. And so we are exceptional at helping everybody from start to finish and then beyond. And, we've deployed many of these networks, so they really enjoyed working with us to help design the network and then deploy exactly what we designed. So it's exceptional that we could do that, and we could help you guys to do the same. So we're here to help you from planning all the way out to deployment and beyond. So the SKUs for the part numbers is relatively small, which I love. We just have a few SKUs, right? And so all of these you can take a look at and get a quote here from Streakwave, which is great. And so I really appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time today with me here on the webinar. I hope I was able to teach you a little bit more about mmWave. And definitely, if you give us a chance, you will really enjoy our solutions here in the market. And so let's work together to see what we can do to deploy a great network. So Amanda or Matt, did we have any questions?
We do. One thing I wanted to comment first, though, I just wanted to hit it on the support side. And I love your phrase, "No radio left behind." It was hilarious, but very true. So I've been impressed with the way you guys have handled support. So I think I just want to underline that. It should be noted when that is the case. Siklu definitely stands behind their product. They've been around a long time, so it's proven stuff. So I want to say that. Question is, when we're looking at some of the radios that you mentioned, I just want to kind of highlight, maybe touch again, that some of them have additional, some of the clients have additional PoE out ports. Is that correct?
Yes. All of our radios have PoE outports.
Okay.
So yeah.
Go ahead. I just think that's important when people are putting these things together. If they're adding cameras or something else behind the network, if it's not just direct connectivity, that these radios are already set up. There's no additional equipment needed for that. They can power
Correct.
other things.
Correct. It saves the cost of additional switch. Plus, you also don't need a NEMA enclosure or something, beyond housing the PoE, right? So
Right.
it's a really simplified deployment for third-party devices, Wi-Fi, cameras, whatever it may be.
Okay. So for someone who's never deployed a multi-point network with Teragraph, is there anything that they need to know, or is Teragraph something they have to learn to do? Or is that just built into the technology and Siklu kind of handles that for you?
Well, I think all of the above, right? I mean, Teragraph is actually an easy network to plan and deploy. Um, One of the great advantages of Siklu is we have a free planning tool that we could use to deploy any Teragraph network and design any Teragraph network. And as we get going with some of the integration of the OSS tools, the planning becomes a necessity to really understand the components of the network. So what we do is we work with any of our clients on the front end to help design it and really put it on paper. One of the advantages of our technology is that you can do a lot on the desktop plan. One of our design engineers, Tim Murphy, his ability to use Google Earth to define line of sight is amazing. So we have some great advantages that we could help you with to design it and produce a bill of materials and make it easy for you to visualize what the growth would be and what the cost would be of the network.
Great. I think that's important because I don't want people to get afraid of Teragraph. Oh, that's new. Oh, that's something I don't know anything about. Don't let that deter you.
I would say 2 years ago, yeah, I would probably be afraid, but our product is very mature now that we've been out almost 2 years on the release. So We've had multiple software revisions into the product, adding features, and the features are, producing a more and more mature radio. And by the end of the year, we should have the majority of all the features in the Teragraph platform, which is fantastic. It's just ease of use and simplicity is what we're working on now that we've got the hardware components out.
Okay, that's great. We received, I guess our last question is on the road regarding the roadmap for higher throughput. Is that going to be software or is that a new SKU?
No, it's going to be software. So everything is hardware ready for channel bonding, which increases the throughput of the radios. So it'll take us up, roughly from 1.9 full duplex to 2.5 full duplex, and that'll be a software upgrade. Everything is hardware ready.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you guys are future proofed. If you buy today, don't dismay.
For
Don't
sure,
fret.
for sure. I mean, all of the hardware is future proofed and ready to go, and it's here for the duration. So, it's fantastic the quality that we're producing. And just on a side note, we had some of our technical calls, discussing what's going on the product side, and there's virtually very little RMAs on the Teragraph family. So that tells us that the product is being produced very well with very high quality and that it really does what it says it's going to do. So that's definitely an advantage of our technology is, it just seems to work when you deploy it correctly. So we want to teach you how to deploy it correctly.
Perfect. And then last comment I think I want to make is regard to supply chain. You guys had a little bit of issue with supply chain, but for the most part, I mean, we have pretty much everything in stock. So there is I know a lot of manufacturers are struggling with that. I don't see Siklu as having that issue.
Yeah, Matt, we really don't have that issue. Some of the advantages of Siklu headquarters is that they were very forward thinking when it came to critical component purchases early on, and they continue to do so. And so that's kept us ahead of the game. I like to also look at Teragraph as, Teragraph was really, our multi-all TG was kind of born in COVID, right? So it was
Right.
born in the, issues that were going on. So it is definitely not having any supply issues with any of the radios in the Teragraph family. And so I think we're very well set as far as delivery on any project size that you could deliver to us.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, I don't think there's any more questions. So, Kyle, really appreciate your time today and coming out and talking about the Siklu line. And we'll be in touch. If anyone is, again, Elangela is going to go ahead and put this up on our channels in various places so you guys can watch it again if you missed it. And we'll hope to see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kyle.